Alright, we need to talk about Zero Build, because after the South Park update, something feels off. And no, it's not just less mobility, it's what kind of mobility we lost. I don't usually make opinion videos like these, but this topic has been everywhere lately, and after actually playing the game for a few days, yeah, it needs to be said. So today I want to break down why Zero Build feels worse right now, why the community's talking past each other, and why this update slowed the game way more than people expected. With the South Park update, Fortnite bolted the Forsaken Valve Blade and Shockwave grenades. Those were the main fighting mobility items. In their place, we got the throwable launch pads and crash pad juniors. The wingsuit stayed the same, and that's where the argument starts. Because people are arguing two different things. One side says they remove mobility, the other side says, what do you mean? We still have mobility. And honestly, they're both right. Here's the difference. There's rotational mobility, which allows you to get around the map easier, and then there's fighting mobility, which closes the gaps and ends fights quicker. Right now, Zero Build has rotational mobility only. What it's missing is fighting mobility. Take the wingsuit. As a rotation tool, it's fine. As a way to push someone, it's awful. The animation is slow, you're exposed the entire time, and if the other player can aim at all, you're dead. In Zero Build, most fights start the same. You tag someone, they duck into cover, they drop a bunker. That moment right there is where fighting mobility used to matter. You could push, you could apply pressure, end the fight quickly. And ending fights quickly matters because the longer the fight lasts, the more likely you get exposed to third parties. Without fighting mobility, fights stall, someone bunkers, you're left standing there asking yourself, should I push or should I just leave? And none of those options feel good. People used to complain that mobility let players run away too easily, but now, players can also decide a fight isn't happening, just in a different way. Same result, lacks action. And no, I don't think this reduces third parties, I think it makes them worse. Longer fights mean more noise, more exposure, more time for other players to show up. Being able to finish fights fast is how you avoid third parties, and nobody likes third parties. This change makes Zero Build slower, campier, and more about waiting than actually fighting. In build mode, you can survive. You can just build your way into pressure. Zero Build, you can't. Now let's talk about crash pads. Crash pads are supposed to replace shockwaves, and honestly, that's fine. They're weaker, they're less chaotic, they require more setup, and I'm okay with that trade-off, but sometimes they're glitchy, and that's where the bad part comes in. The problem isn't the item, the problem is you almost never find them, and that's also another problem. They spawn too rarely, they drop in stacks of 2, they don't come from vending machines, bosses don't drop them, so in real matches, they barely exist. That's why this argument feels so divided. One side says, just adapt, the other side says, we don't have mobility. And both sides are right. You can't adapt to something that barely spawns. I don't need shockwaves specifically, I like them, I don't need them. What makes Zero Build needs is reliable fighting mobility. If crash pads are an answer, they need to be more available. That's the balance. Or at least add other types of mobility into the game. There's swords, there's shockwave gloves, there's hammers, a lot of things that Epic could bring into the loot pool. So to wrap it up, I'm okay with less mobility, I'm okay with adapting. I'm not okay with Zero Build meta where fights stall, mobility barely spawns, and engagement feels discouraged. Zero Build doesn't need shockwaves, but it does need consistent fighting mobility. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like slower Zero Build, or do you guys think fighting mobility is essential? Drop your thoughts below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.